Welcome back to Golden Eagles Live here on CUTV. Matt Catrillo here with you, and joining me now in studio is football head coach Jay Foster. Jay, much appreciated coming on here today.
Matt, thanks for having me in tonight.
My pleasure, Coach. And you guys are coming off a disappointing 4-7 season, and so how have the guys handled themselves in the offseason so far?
Well, I think the attitude's been great. The guys are working hard, taking a lot more responsibility. We've had a couple of the seniors step up and really start to gather the guys together and do things on their own. You can always tell when you're going to have a pretty good football team or a pretty good anything team when the players start taking responsibility and taking things into their own hands to get themselves better.
Now, Coach, you guys got off to that great 3-0 start, but let's face it, it was against some opponents that struggled this year. And then when you guys got to the so-called big boys of the PSAC West, you guys struggled a little bit.
Right.
So from your evaluation, watching the film and seeing you guys in-game live during the season, what do you think is missing from you guys being competitive and actually beating the big boys of the PSAC
Right.
West?
Well, I think the biggest thing for us always comes back to health. We're not a deep team, never have been. We've always felt if we could put our 22 guys on the football field and keep them healthy all season, we can compete against anybody. We beat Mercyhurst, who was a 7-4 football team, and ended up having some nice wins on the season. But when we lost Ben, you lose a 4-year starter, preseason All-American, a 2-time captain. That's a tough thing to replace. And I thought Darrell Carson did a great job stepping in. But that's not fair for any freshman to step into a situation and have to take over and fill those shoes. And that's, it is what it is, and we've got to be able to find a way to battle through those things. But I think the biggest thing for us is just staying healthy. I mean, we have some great football players, and we're excited about them.
And that's a great point you make, Coach Foster, about all the injuries you guys had last year and a lot of adversity that you guys faced. As the season went along and as you kept dealing with the injuries, starting with Ben's injury week 2 against Lockhaven, and which was a pretty close game also when you guys only won by 7. How do you think you guys the team did in responding to those adverse times?
I thought the guys, they played very well. We were in some games. We're in a Cal game, and it's 14-0 going into the fourth quarter. And we had opportunities. We just couldn't capitalize on them. The Slippery Rock game, we had it at a 27-13 point. I think at one point we had scored a couple quick touchdowns, created some turnovers. We just couldn't put enough points on the board. The Edinburgh game, we missed a field goal with no time on the clock, basically, and that would have been a win there. So I was really proud of the way the guys handled the situation, because they stayed and they battled the whole way through. It just, we just didn't have enough bullets in the gun.
Let's go to this recruiting class now, Coach Foster. And first I want to ask you, from this year's recruiting class, are there any players that stand out?
Well, I think in any recruiting class, football's, I don't want to say it's a little bit different because of the size of the guys and the maturity that goes along with it. We look at our freshman class as where they're going to be 2 or 3 years from now. Obviously, we'd love them to impact us, but realistically, it doesn't happen in our sport. So we're excited about the class. There's some guys I think that might have a chance, but realistically, I'm just real pleased with what we got. I mean, we got a local kid, Damian Slike, that is a Clarion high school player, played for a great football team here this year that lost in the state semis. And he's a heck of a football player, and we're real excited about him. And he's just one of the examples. I mean, he's 6'1" and 210 or so pounds, can run like crazy. And so we're excited about him. Does he have a chance to play for us? Yeah, I think anybody coming in has a chance. But realistically, not quite sure that's going to happen.
Now, I saw Damian is listed as just an athlete.
Right.
So where do you see him fitting on the team, and where are you guys going to try and start putting him once you start the preseason?
Well, when we initially had gone through the recruiting aspect, we were looking at him as a defensive back, as one of our safeties. Again, with his athletic ability and his size, we saw him doing what Nick Sipes did for us a couple years back. And actually, Damian's a little bit better athlete than Nick was. So we were looking at that initially. But as we went through our recruiting, we were trying to fill defensive back safeties first, because we graduated 3 seniors this year at safety. We got those filled, and we came back around, and we got a couple more that were still available with a little bit of scholarship money that we had left. So he might end up playing some running back. He's a good enough athlete that I think he could play a lot of different spots. Anytime you can get a big guy that can run, you got to like that.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure. And let's go now to the quarterback situation here. As we just learned the other day, Connor Simmons, who's a quarterback transfer from Erie Community College,
Right.
has come here to bring some competition for the starter from last year, Darrell Carson. And it's also said that Matt Fukos has transferred as well. So how do you see the quarterback situation playing out? And is Darrell Carson the guy at the starting nod so far?
Absolutely. Darrell started 9 games for us last year, and that is nothing to sneeze at. And I thought he did a pretty good job. Obviously, we've got to get better than going 2-7 as a starter, but at the same time, that's a freshman kid that was thrown into a tough situation. And I thought he handled himself very well. I mean, Darrell's a leader. He's a natural leader. And it's his job, but we had to bring competition in at the same time. We were down to 2 quarterbacks because of the foot coach situation and injuries and everything else that had occurred. So we felt it was important that there was some competition here in the spring as opposed to just handing the job to anybody.
What do you like about Connor Simmons?
Well, he's about 6'3". He's 215 pounds. He can throw and he can run. He's a big athlete. So he does all the things that we've done for the last 4 years in our scheme offensively, but he's a big body too on top of it. And we felt that was one thing we were lacking, somebody who could stand in the pocket and throw the football and see over folks.
Well, certainly will be interesting as you guys get ready for the 2014 season. Hopefully you guys can get back on the winning track and get back to the playoffs next year.
Thanks, Matt. That's what we're going to go after.
Coach, we appreciate a couple minutes.
Thank you.
Coming up next here on Golden Eagles Live, Jason Croft will rejoin me as we give our game predictions for the upcoming week in Clarion Sports. That's coming up next here on CU.